All right. Matt is going to make today an ESG op-ed.
I'll go for it.
I already kind of started in on this, but I'm going to get deep. I saw a few headlines in the past couple weeks. Now, these headlines come out all the time, but a few particularly stupid ones. Let me read to you. And this, if you're in the ESG community, you'll probably understand why I think it's stupid. If you're not, I'm going to tell you. There's one in Bloomberg with the headline, "Who put the S in ESG and what does it mean?" Any guesses? Who put the S there?
Um,
It's
Exxon.
there was another one in a publication at Value Walk headlined
Uh-huh.
ESG, the rebranding of the defunct corporate responsibility concept. I don't know.
Sounds meaningless.
That first of all, can we work on pithier headlines? Those headlines
Yeah.
suck. Second of all, they betray a fundamental misunderstanding about what ESG even is. Okay.
Go for it.
Because ESG, I feel like to most people, at least in public, is like invest in solar panels or, wind energy. To some people, it's don't put tobacco in my portfolio. To some other people, it's going to be the Intel report. How many LGBTQ employees does a company have? And is that, right? Should they have more? I don't know, maybe someone thinks should they have less, but usually more. All of these things sort of get lumped in with ESG. But ESG as an acronym stands for Environmental Social Governance. Those things are not related. I don't know if you knew this.
I did know that. Yeah. I used to be just G.
Literally, there's an entire industry of G.
Yeah.
There is an entire industry of E. And maybe Bloomberg's right. Who put the S in ESG? Because no one fucking works on that. No one cares about S. But the fact is, the acronym has become a catch-all for anything that doesn't fit neatly on a financial accounting report and therefore is totally meaningless. Can we please, pretty please, this is my op-ed, this is my plea to the ESG industry, consider killing the acronym so that people understand what we're doing. Because what ESG is two things. There's data, and then there's using the data. The data is just the pursuit of transparency. Is it more complicated than that? Like 3,000 years ago,
before, right?
So 3,000 years ago, if you were a Talmudic scholar, you were looking at the Talmud for information about, like, they actually said there's certain real estate you can buy and some you can't. There's some business that you can get in, some that you can't. And in order to do that, in order to execute on that, you needed data. You needed to actually know what a company did. ESG data, this acronym, is really just data about what companies do. And that's what it had been for thousands of years. Thousands. Oh, I like the sound effects.
Keep going.
Until 1997, when, shout out to Bob Massey, who founded GRI. Bob Massey, who ran for governor, I think, of Massachusetts. Very cool guy. Founded GRI, the Global Reporting Initiative. And they basically codified a system by which companies could put out a bunch of data. And then in 2008, the financial crisis happens, and investors said, you know what, we can't, companies say a lot of bullshit. We can't believe everything a company says. We're going to use all sorts of other data. We're going to use data from the World Bank. We're going to use data from academics. We're going to use data from over here and from over there. There's a nonprofit that gives me data. Oh, there's sentiment analysis using news reports. There is data that investors use where they use satellite images of parking lots to figure out how many cars are there on any given time to figure out how much a company could buy. All of that is basically just data to understand what a company's doing and how it can basically blow up, whether or not it's going to blow up. That is it. That's all. To me, ESG data is the pursuit of transparency. That's it. So congratulations, Intel, for winning in the ESG data race.
Yeah, they did. They won ESG.
But then there's the question of what you do with all that data. And
Okay.
this is where it gets confusing, and you see things like the rebranding of defunct corporate responsibility. Or I always see things like, is Tesla, a good company or a bad company? Because their labor practices are terrible, but they make environmentally friendly cars. Or how can ESG funds own Exxon? This is the worst thing in the world. It's about what you're doing with the data. Because what you want with this data set, with more transparency, is to pursue real world survival. You want the survival of something. That something is really one of three things. You want your investment to survive, like that piece of paper that you have that entitles you to cash flow if a company decides to give it to you. You want your soul to survive. If you are a religious investor or you have a set of moral beliefs, you want to stick by your morals, you want to stick with your religion, because a little bit of abortion investment probably won't, stand up at the pearly gates. Or you want some system to survive in perpetuity. Like if you cut down 9 trees and someone else cut down 11, both are bad while you made money. If you planted 12 and cut down 11, then there was some positive to the system and you made money at the same time. You want survival. That's all it is. And you want it using as much data as you can possibly get. So this is where I am.
Okay.
ESG does not encompass any of those things. This is a conversation we'll probably have to come back to. I wrote 4 pages of thoughts on this. And this is 4 pages distilled out of 2 years of writing scripts and papers and trying to kill the acronym at the largest provider of the acronym in the world.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should rebrand the entire industry acronym providers. It's not ratings providers anymore. It's acronym providers, because all we're trying to do is make sure we survive through some lens. And that does not require an acronym. And if you need help, my final thought, if you are an asset manager and you need help because you have been selling the ESG low carbon, carbon neutral, socially responsible ETF fund, and you need help rebranding it, just give us a call here at Free Float Media. I can come up with names all day. The Long-Term Environmental Survival Fund, or the Resilience Fund, or Companies That Won't Go to Shit Fund. I've got names coming out my ass. So give us a call here at Free Float Media and help us kill the acronym.